Hey guys, what's going on? Matt O'Leary back with another video. I want to get into a sneaky, really big story for the New York Jets. I feel like this is going under the radar a little bit in comparison to how some other stories are covered. So I wanted to take some time to talk about it, even if it isn't necessarily something that, the average fan is going to know, like, oh my God, like this is a big deal. But like we got to do a little informative journalism here. That's what we do sometimes. Sometimes we talk about trade rumors. Other times we do informative journalism. So today, all right, what I want to get into is Rich Cimini of ESPN is reporting that the New York Jets are making major changes to the sports performance and sports science department. The director of high performance, Brad Deweese, is no longer with the organization. Assistant director of high performance, Robert Sauceman, is no longer there. And Matt Sams also left the team, who was the director of sports science. Now you might be asking, well, what does that mean? Essentially, the sports science people, their job is to limit injury risk and get the players in the proper shape with their workout regimen and what they're eating and their rest. Their job, again, is to try to keep the team as healthy as humanly possible. And Rich Cimini notes that these moves weren't necessarily made based on performance, which does not matter to me, because at the end of the day, they're no longer with the organization, and that's probably a good thing because of just how beat up this Jets team has been, specifically over the last 2 years. I know every single team in the NFL deals with injuries, right? Like, I think even Jet fans realize that, saying, that every team, all 32 teams in the league, deal with it. But I wanted to give you, over the last 2 years, players who ended their season on injured reserve. In 2023, there was a bunch of relatively big names too, all of these guys. And that's what I want to focus on. Like the practice squad guys aren't making the cut, but like actual big name guys who were supposed to serve a really big role on the team ending their season on IR. Chuck Clark, Dwayne Brown, Connor McGovern, Aaron Rodgers, Wes Schweitzer, CJ Uzama, Elijah Vera Tucker, Perion Winfrey, Al Woods. In 2022, you had Mekhi Becton, George Fant, Breece Hall, and Elijah Vera Tucker. So clearly there was a lot more in 2023 than 22, but AVT and Breece Hall, them losing both those guys in 2022 for the season, completely derailed. Like that you could actually see when the season starts to take its dive and go down, and circle that game in red ink against the Denver Broncos, because the entire offense right down the tubes. And in 22, you lost your starting tackles. Becton and George Fant were the expectation where those two were gonna play, and unfortunately, they did not. They did not play nearly enough in 2022, and then last year there was obviously more. And whether it's the numerous offensive line combinations the Jets have had to do over the last 2 seasons, their quarterbacks going down, like even in 2022, we forget that Zach Wilson gets hurt in the preseason and misses the first 3 games of the season. And that was a scary injury. We all kind of thought there was a chance that Zach Wilson was, going to be out for the year. And when he went down in that preseason game against Philadelphia, luckily, he doesn't miss the entire year. I guess maybe for him, luckily. We don't want injuries, but like the thought of potentially losing your quarterback for the year in the preseason was a scary, scary thought. And like, again, this team, they just have an ungodly amount of injuries every single year. That's the biggest story with this team, is that they don't reach their potential and they're held back because of how many guys get hurt. I understand it's a violent sport. It is. The NFL, there's no avoiding it. Someone is going to get hurt every single year. You're going to miss guys. Guys are going to get banged up. But when it's this alarming of a rate, something is clearly wrong. So I'm glad the Jets made these changes, whether it was based on performance or not. It was probably a wise decision to shake things up after how things have gone for the last 2 or 3 seasons. Now, if only they would change the MetLife turf to grass, then we'd really be cooking. Then we would really be cooking, but we could only ask for so much in one off season. I will take this, guys. I think this is an underrated story. I think this is going to play a big factor in the 2024 season, but I wanted to hear what you guys think about it. Let me know down below in the comments your thoughts on the New York Jets making all these big changes. Sound off. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.